So, hi there, welcome back to another video against MSSQL attacks for red teamers. Myself, Tikun Sindwar, and this entire series will be dedicated to red teamers writing or making our own lab in order to understand exploitation of MSSQL well-known attacks, which is being conducted during a red team. So that's being said, let's move ahead with the next further steps. So for few of the steps we already covered in order to installation or making our own Active Directory lab. So it's the same that we have did in our past video. The DC01 will be our domain controller and DBSRV01 will be the database server which we will be targeting. So both are required for an Active Directory environment. So let's get started. Before moving ahead, a quick introduction to my course, Advanced Network Exploitation Expert, is already published and starting. I already started making, and this course really helps to prepare you for the OSCP and equivalent certificates. It has designed such a way to give you a quick and guided walkthrough to understand all the core concepts that could help for your learning part. So that's being said, let's move ahead with the further steps. We already have installed our Active Directory environment, and the next thing is we're going to install software that is Microsoft SQL Server. So the version which we have used of OS version basically which we have used is Windows Server 2012, and I would recommend to go the same version with the SQL. So I'm gonna just search MSSQL Server 2012, and that would be perfect choice for our target. It's lightweight at least than the latest version, so that's another reason. Yeah, seems perfect. I'll download the service pack 3, hitting this download button. It will going to ask you which version you really wish to. So I'm gonna go with the Express with 4-bit version, and of course this English. So hitting the next, it will start downloading in few seconds. So it's already started. Let's wait till the time it downloads. Meanwhile, while it is being downloaded, so we'll start our domain controller. Remember, whenever you start your operating system, it is always recommended to start your DC first, and then you can start your DB server. The reason behind that is DC will going to provide the authentication and further things. It is always recommended. Moving back with the database server, as DC is almost popped up. Perfect. With the domain controller, I'll going to add few accounts that will going to help us for our installation things. I'll add my password. Ready. Popping up the PowerShell. Let me quick modify the layout so you can read it in a way. The 250 would be the fair enough. Font, I'll go with the 18 somewhere. And use it a console is perfect. Not an issue. Perfect. So net user, the username that I want to be added. So the first and foremost user is SQL user slash the password. Let's say please subscribe at 123 slash add, and I want this account to be added as a domain or added within the domain, which is rebensive.local. So slash add slash dom will be adding it to the domain. The password no longer 14 character computer will not. Yeah, that's fine. I don't have any system prior Windows 2000, so I'll go yes, and it worked well. Thus, to validate, net users slash dom. We're going to list all the user, and SQL user is there. This will be a low privilege user. The second user that I would like to add here would be, let's say, SQL admin. Password will be, let's say, Bob at 123. Perfect. Third user I'm gonna add, which will be administrator Rob. The password I'm gonna say, let's go with the Bob at 123 for now. Perfect. So three users are added already and seems perfectly fine. The next thing which we will going to do is make this Rob user as an administrator against our DB server. So we can use that Rob user instead of this administrator account in order to install the required softwares. Right click, run as administrator. I'm gonna say net local group administrator. So I'm gonna make that particular user a local admin against this DB server, and the user is Rob slash cat. The specific local group. Oh, sorry, it will be administrators and not the administrator. The trust relationship between workstation and the primary domain failed. Something is wrong here. Need to quickly recheck. Net user slash dom. There is error with communication. What I'm gonna do, I'll quickly restart this. It usually happens when DBSRV don't authenticate with the DC. So restart would help. Correct. But 123, fine. Net users plus dom and domain accounts are visible. I'm gonna do net local group administrators slash app. The username will be Rob. Everything seems to be fine, and this should here. It says the command completed. Ignore this visual changes. It is just because of multiple systems within the VM, and the base machine is not stronger enough. That's the reason. However, it's fair enough to understand. So now this ROP user, we're gonna use it for installation of our softwares. Let me quickly log out and log in with ROP user. Out. Other user, Rob, Bob at 123. Perfect. So now we are administrator, but with the different user. The user is belongs to the particular domain. So that is good. Added a user, everything seems to be fine, and we are ready to install our MSSQL server. All right, so let's check whether our SQL server is downloaded or not, and it is. So in folder, I'll just hit Control C, and Control V should work. But yeah, it worked well. So double click, new installation. Perfect. Standard installation with the next, of course. Next. The default things should be fine and should be enough for our current scope. I'll instead specify default instance instead of named instance. So let's move ahead with the next. Default user would be sufficient, which is MSSQL user. Next, it asks whether what type of install or what type of authentication you wish to. So I'll go with the Rob because I want that Rob to be administrator over that MSSQL instance. We can also use a mixed mode. So what I'm gonna do is we can set a password for the SA account. That is another way, but I'll go with the Windows authentication mode, or else let's go with the SA mode. It's all okay to go with the SA or standard user. So the SA user will be password will be, let's say, admin at 123, admin at 123. It's a basic password and everything seems to be fine. It will not gonna take much time. While it is being installed, what I'm gonna do, I'll move it ahead with the DC and let's navigate to that particular server. So what I'm gonna do, instead of navigating or copying that file again, I can just directly access that server by typing // /c$. As we are domain controller, we can do how much privileges with the domain admin accounts, of course. So it is within the ROB and downloads. Perfect. I'll just double click and installation would be started. So installing there, new SQL Server instance. For installation, default instance. Next mode. Again, I'm gonna say admin at 123. Admin at 123. And should be good. Perfect. So now we have our SQL instance running. Few things need to be checked first. So you can click on this Windows icon where you'll find, or you can just search for SQL, not this installation center. Getting some visual errors here. Microsoft SQL Server and the configuration manager. Here, the services that we need to verify whether this SQL server is running or not, and here SQL server is running. You can also verify by just popping up your PowerShell or whatever shell you are using. Ignore this visual if issues. Maybe it will not gonna be same for you, and you can type netstat-aon, and it will display all the listening ports from where you can check the MSSQL port. So here I doubt there is any MSSQL port running. Is 1433 usually, so need to verify our SQL server. One of the service seems to be stopped. Let's just check the configuration whether this TCP is enabled or not. You can click on native client or probably this SQL Server network configuration from where you'll find this TCP IP. What it will gonna do is it will gonna enable it over the network. So it will not gonna require just uh, internal access kind of thing. So TCP IP, I want this to be enabled. They enable yes, keep alive, everything fine. Port number 1433. Apply. Okay. Okay. Fine. Let me recheck. Still, I don't see 1433. So probably I would have to restart this particular server. Re-verify, and 1433 has been successfully popped out. This is proof that yeah, this MSSQL instance is running over the network. Same way, what I'm gonna do, I'll go navigate to DC, close everything, close this, hitting Windows icon, navigating to MSSQL configuration manager, services, MSSQL services running, network configuration, protocol, and TCP IP. I want this to be enabled. Apply. Okay. Okay. Restarting this MSSQL service and should be good. The final check, which I would really recommend, is popping up your PowerShell once again and just let me just change the layout a little, make it 240 this time. Font would be 14. Should be good. Perfect. SQL CMD. When you hit that, you will be in within the SQL server. You can validate by typing select at version and just hit go, and it will going to display the version you have. And this is just for proving that yeah, your SQL server is ready to use. Same check, what I'm gonna do is within our DC01 at stat -aon. Of course, the domain controller will gonna have more ports. So you can do is find str, you can type your 1433, which is the port number, and here we go. Perfect. So all things seems to be fine, and the next thing is SQL CMD. SQL CMD is not recognized. That's weird. Probably I have to close this PowerShell and reopen SQL CMD. Perfect. Now I can just type select at version and go. Perfect. Both the instance are ready to use. Now we can add our n number of vulnerabilities and exploit the same. So let's move ahead with the vulnerability section. So that's all. That's it for the installation part or lab setup part. And as usual, what I'm gonna do when we have our environment ready, I'm gonna shut down my system, both the system, of course, and right click, snapshot, take a snapshot, and it will be MSSQL installed. Take a snapshot, right click on the DB, snapshot, take snapshot, MSSQL installed. So now if I do any mistakes within my environment or software configuration, I can always revert back and perform the actions again and again and again. So that's it. That's all for today. See you next time. Hope you learned something new. Hope you liked the knowledge. And if you do, of course, there is a like button which you can hit, as well as you can just keep subscribed so you'll get more updates and the later on exploitation part, of course. So that's it. That's all. See you next time. And of course, don't forget to sign up for the course. It's free. What you can do and what you're gonna learn is total network pen testing. It will gonna have most of the knowledge which you might require for your network pen testing. So that's it. That's all. See you next time.